Hi,
Hi,
teacups.
teacups. My name's
I'm
Kenna.
Christina. Oh, and I'm Christina.
I think it's okay. My name's Kenna.
And I'm Christina.
And we're
And
going
we're
to
going to
spill the tea
spill the tea
for you
for you guys today. Okay, so Ken and I are both in hotels right now. So excuse the quality of everything, but we just couldn't miss an episode with you guys. So here we are. Yeah, and before we get started, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Ken is going to tell you about our social media.
Yes, make sure to follow us on our social medias. Our Instagram is Christina and Kenna, and we post who our guest is every week, and we just post games and just everything. So make sure to follow us on there, and then in the bio there's a Broadway for Racial Justice link to donate, but Christina will talk more about that right now.
Yes. So we've set up a GoFundMe for Broadway for Racial Justice. If you don't know what Broadway for Racial Justice is, it is an organization that literally exists to make conditions in the theater industry better for BIPOC people. So they have different programs, different allyship programs. They have a lot of summits and conferences. They have an amplification program. Kenna was one of their amplified artists. They have a scholarship fund. They have a hotline. This is one of my favorite things that I have that I've never seen before, but they have a hotline, and it's 24 hours a day open. If you've experienced any race-related trauma in your theater job, you can call and they will instruct you on the next steps of action to take, or just if you just need somebody to vent to, they're there. And they're a relatively new organization. They've been around for about a year now, and so any little penny that you can donate counts. No donation's too large, no donation is too small. Our GoFundMe is right there below us. So yeah, check it out and please donate.
Yes, and we also just wanted to give a little tiny announcement that this is actually our season finale. We've done 10 episodes. Well, this is our 10th episode, which is a lot. And we are so excited. We are so happy you guys stayed with us this long. And we just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is our 10th episode. It's the end of season 1. We are going to be doing another season, so don't think that this is ending. But yeah, this is the end of season 1. So thank you so much for being here. And I think it's time we bring our guest in. Okay.
Hello.
Oh my goodness. So our guest for this week, if you can't tell, is Adrienne Walker. Hi, Adrienne. I'm so sorry for the background noise. My little brother just really wants to be in the show today. But yeah, our guest is Adrienne. So we always like to start off with a little emotional check-in. So how are you doing today, Adrienne?
I'm doing really well today. I feel like it's been a successful day so far. It's sunny here in New York, which is always really great. So yeah, I would say my emotional check-in today is a positive one. I'm feeling good. It's not one of those days where I'm like beating myself up or anything crazy like that. So yeah, how are you all doing? I know you're both in hotels and a bit misplaced, but how are you doing?
Yeah, Kenna, you can go
okay.
first.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm currently in Idaho on a little road trip. But yeah, I'm doing great. It's a great day, and I'm super excited for our guests this week. How are you, Christina?
I am doing really good. We just got checked into our hotel, and I'm in Florida right now, and the sunny weather and the beach, I got a tan, and I'm really enjoying it. But I'm having a really good time. I'm really excited for our guest today. I'm a huge fan of Adrienne's work, and I'm just really excited, and I'm glad that we're all here today. So,
yay!
So, Adrienne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. I am originally from Jonesboro, Georgia, as we talked about. And I had every intention of being a classical singer when I first went into college. I went to college at Spelman in Atlanta. And the performance bug kind of hit me while I was there. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do classical voice because that's just what you do when you go to a school like Spelman. There's not a big emphasis on musical theater. I don't know if that's changed since I've been there, but you're either a drama student and you're down the hall in the drama department, or you're in the music department, or you're with the jazz ensemble, but there's really no crossover. And there's no room for crossover. I hope that they change that. But anyway, about me. So I graduated from Spelman, and then I auditioned for grad school, and I only auditioned for 2 schools, and I did not get into either one. So I had to take a year off. And this time, the second go around, I auditioned for 6 schools, and I prayed about it because I really didn't know where I wanted to go. And I said, just make the decision easy. Whatever I get into, just please let it be easy. And I got into a school in Macon. I got into Mercer University. Are you familiar with that school, yes, Christina? Yeah. So I got into Mercer University, and then I got into Roosevelt University in Chicago. And I didn't want to stay in Georgia, so I went to Chicago, and it completely changed my life, because that is the reason why I'm even doing musical theater right now, is because of what I learned in Chicago, and not at Roosevelt University. This is not a plug for anyone to go to Roosevelt University. I hated their program so much, but hopefully it's better by now. And I didn't go to their musical theater program, so that's different. I went to their classical voice program. So anyway, but after my first year of grad school, I auditioned for a production of Porgy and Bess that was happening regionally there. And it was at that production that I met a bunch of musical theater folks. And they were like, hey, Adrienne, we know that you're, planning on doing this classical route, but in the meantime, why don't you, audition for this theater or this theater? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I'll try it out. I don't know. And sure enough, I started auditioning and getting callbacks, and I was like, oh, okay, well, let me learn this business a little bit. So most of my career has been a lot of trial and error, and just like going in for something, not really knowing what I'm doing, figuring it out in the moment, and evolving and learning in that way. But yeah, that's a bit about me, about how I started. But I guess I'm most known for a couple of roles that I did. I made my Broadway debut as Nala in The Lion King. It was a huge life-altering role to book. And then I took a break from The Lion King to do Kiss Me Kate, where I played Hattie. And that was really cool because it was just like a star-studded cast. And I finally got to do a rehearsal process on Broadway and meet a bunch of really cool people and perform in the Tonys. And now I'm back in The Lion King. And so we'll start rehearsals August 17th. And then we're going to hit the stage. Yeah. And then we're going to hit the stage on September 14th. So right now I am training. I have a trainer, and I am eating no salt and no sugar. And it's real. It got real. Yeah.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting. So I know that you talked a little bit about how you wanted to do classical music originally. So like, what got you into, I guess, music in general and performing? And then how was that transition over when you first started doing theater as opposed to like classical?
Oh yeah, I love that. That's a great question. I've always sung in the choir. I've always sung in the church choir. It feels like always, but really I was 5 when I started singing in the church choir. I grew up Baptist. Same for you, Kenna?
Yeah, I think I started maybe like 4 or 5.
I started in church at 4 or 5 as well.
Yeah, they start. If you're gonna sing in the church, they like to start you young. They're like, you need to go minister. You put them in the choir.
Yes.
So I started in the church choir, and I was a really shy kid. Like I'm by nature still very much an introvert, but I was a really shy kid, and my dad said I had no coordination, so they had me up there singing and rocking, and I was that one kid that just wasn't rocking with everybody else. Yes. But that's when I guess you would say music entered my life. But I started taking piano lessons when I was 9. My dad signed my sister and I up to take lessons, and we studied through college. I studied piano. It's one of those mediums though. If you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. So I'm really not great or proficient in it now, but I can play my parts. I can plunk out my parts. But that's where I started. piano lessons and the church choir, and then I did choirs in grade school. I did all of the choirs that whatever we had around the neighborhood. If we had they have the Spivey Hall Children's Chorus. I don't know. You do know that yeah. So I did the Spivey Hall Children's Chorus for just a couple of years. It was a little too expensive for my family, so we didn't do it for that long. And just school choirs in high school and middle school. But yeah.
Yeah, I kind of am very similar because I started in like the church choir, and then I did just choir and youth choir in middle school and now high school. But I know you mentioned earlier about going to Spelman. So what was that experience like?
Spelman was exactly what I needed. Up until that point, okay, so in elementary school, I went to a predominantly white school, but by the time I got to high school, even though we never moved, like white flight happens. And so I was at a predominantly Black school in middle school. And then when I got to high school, it was very mixed. And so it's interesting. I applied to Mercer and Spelman, and I think Georgia State. And I got into Mercer with like a 60% scholarship. And so I went over there to do their overnight visit. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with those. You go to a college overnight just to see if you want to attend that college. And so I did the overnight at Mercer, and it came, and I was having a good time. I was learning the campus and getting an idea and a feel for the music department there. But it came time for us all to get ready to go to bed. And I remember tying my hair up because I had it in a wrap. At that time, I still had a relaxer at that point. I've been natural now for 10 years, but at that point I still had a relaxer. And so I remember was tying my hair up and getting ready for bed, and I was being stared at and I couldn't handle it. And they were asking me questions about my hair, and I was just like, oh my God, what's happening? I've never experienced that before. And then a couple weeks after that, I went to the Spelman sleepover, and I was like in love. It was love at first sight. Like I know that they have a great way of recruiting students, but it was just, I felt so comfortable and so free. And so for 4 years, I went to Spelman. I had to fight for it because I had a scholarship here at Mercer and I didn't have a scholarship at Spelman. So I had to like beg my parents to let me go. And my experience at Spelman was helpful to me as a Black woman because it just helped me focus on developing myself and not focusing on, oh, did that happen because I'm Black, or did that happen because I'm Black, or what's going on here? Is that because I'm Black? I didn't think about that for 4 years, so that was really helpful to just focus. And then like I said before, I'm really an introvert. And so what I was able to achieve there is I found my people. I found my group of people. And that was in the Glee Club, the music nerds, the chorus nerds, And so I have no regrets with going to Spelman. I'm still paying for my tuition there, but I have no regrets because it taught me how to feel comfortable in my own skin and to use my voice. And I learned so much about the African diaspora that I didn't learn in grade school. Because when you first get to Spelman, you have to take the freshman intro course, it's African diaspora, and you learn about history all over the world, Black history all over the world that is just not taught in schools. So that was, I feel like, the longest answer to a very simple question, but yeah.
No, that was a great answer. I too went to like an all-white school up until from like kindergarten until I was in 7th grade, and then 8th grade I went to an all-Black school, and then my second year of high school, so this past year, my sophomore year, I switched to an online school that's really diverse. So it's been that experience. But I have been looking into, I'm pretty sure I'm going to apply to go to Spelman just because a lot of my neighbors and stuff are like Spelmanites and a lot of my family members. So that's just like a cool thing for me.
Yes. It's, there's just nothing like it.
Yeah, and I know you said that after you went to grad school, you ended up going to school in Chicago. what was it like training at the Chicago Conservatory of the Performing Arts? Like, what was that like?
You know what? I was so excited to be in a new city and like to live there, because everything I had done up until this point was in Georgia. And I felt like that was just so safe. It's like, I need to leave. I need to leave. I need to be out from under my parents' thumb. And so I was just excited to be free. And of course, when you first get to school, you want to take everything on. You're like, I can do this, I can do that, and I'm going to do this choir, and what's crazy is that, so in college, I had between 18 to 20 hours every semester. And then when I got to grad school, I was only doing about 12 to 13 hours, but I swear to you, I had no time, none. No time. And the reason I said that I didn't really care for the program there is that when you go into any kind of profession that's subjective, especially when you're being taught that profession and someone is evaluating you on your talent, you know, not necessarily how much work you put forth, but your talent, is that sometimes the people that the faculty doesn't believe in, they get no stage time and they don't get special attention. And that's what I experienced. And at Spelman, I felt like I got all the attention I needed. If I needed something, it was there. And now for the first time in my life, I felt forgotten. I felt like no one was paying attention to me or my growth or checking in or making sure that I was getting the tools that I needed to actually graduate with a master's in music, and to say that, hey, I have a master's in music, I've earned this, I know everything I need to know. And so I was just very disappointed in their program. It's a 2-year program. And I was grateful that I booked Porgy and Bess because it kind of overlapped. So once I was about to complete my program, I'd done my recital and only had a couple more courses to finish out. Rehearsals for Porgy and Bess were about to start. And I had to leave early. I had to finish everything and say, hey, is it all right if I leave early and miss a couple of like in-person classes so that I can start this rehearsal process? And I was worried that they would say no, because like I said, I wasn't a favorite. I wasn't getting any kind of favoritism or any special favors in this program. And in one of the, I guess it's like a career building class. It's a pass or fail class. And I was nervous about him failing me if I missed the last 2 classes because of these rehearsals. And one day in class, I'm still waiting for a chance to tell him that I'm not going to finish out all of his classes. He gets up to announce that one of our classmates is entering the Chicago Opera Theater program early. And so this is his last class today. And I thought, oh, so if you booked something, then you can just leave? Okay, great. And that same day I got up and I was like, oh, Drew, I'm so happy for you. I will also be leaving early to do this program. And because I made it so public, I just felt like he couldn't come back and, fail me. It's just, I don't know, something about that program really rubbed me the wrong way. Anyway, yeah.
That is very interesting. I had a question about what was the regional theater scene like in Chicago?
That is such a great question, because I would push anyone that is trying to start this career to start it in Chicago. Unless you are in a theater program where you're getting a showcase in New York and you get a New York agent immediately, move to Chicago. It's a cheaper cost of living. It's not cheap, but it's way more affordable than New York. And you're going to be able to work a lot. Because there's a lot of union theater and a lot of non-union theater, and you can work both until you get your union card. And the great thing too is that you can crash these equity auditions and you're more likely to get seen because there's fewer actors in Chicago. There's a lot of actors in Chicago, but it's nothing like New York. And so I thought getting my start haphazardly, because it wasn't the plan, right? Like my plan was to do classical music, but just that I happen to be in a city that is like second best to New York when it comes to Chicago, when it comes to theater and regional theater, I couldn't have asked for a better start. So basically what I did was I listened to my friends. I listened to my friends at Porgy and Bess. They were the only musical theater people I knew. And they said, hey, you should audition for this theater, this theater, this theater. Here's, you know, they would pull up audition calls and say, this, you would be great for this, try this out. You need to meet this casting director. You need to meet this artistic director. And that's just what I did. I didn't have a lot of musical theater songs to choose from. So for the first few auditions, I sang art songs and I just like changed it to more of a belt sound instead of a classical voice sound until I could get more songs in my book. Yeah, I think the first few auditions I did, this Ricky Ian Gordon piece called Song for a Dark Girl. Ricky Ian Gordon set a bunch of Langston Hughes poems to music. And so I did that one because it was jazzy and bluesy, and you know, it kind of goes under the radar a bit. And then I did Be a Lion a lot. I sang Be a Lion all the time. And then I finally learned some musical theater stuff. And then I started singing like stuff from Brooklyn, a couple of jazz numbers. But yeah, I just crashed every equity audition I could. I was like, ooh, I'd be good for that. Let me go in and show my face and sing. And let me go in and show my face and sing. I made a lot of mistakes. Like my headshot was something my dad took in our hallway. It had a huge shadow in the back. It was just like the worst. Like I didn't know what I was doing. But sometimes you get hired even though you're so green, and it just works out that way. Favor here and there, and it works out.
That is some great advice for anyone on this call who wants to be in musical theater. I will definitely consider that.
I definitely will too. I know that you've done a lot of regional theater roles in Chicago, and I wanted to ask you, because I know you were in The Color Purple, what was it like playing Shug Avery?
Terrifying. I already told you guys I'm an introvert, and I went in thinking that they might consider me for Nettie or Steely, right? So I went in, I was like, you know, I might be too tall. I'm 5'9", you know? So I was like, I might be too tall, but I'm just gonna audition because you know how it goes. If they're doing a show and Black people are in the cast, you know, then you have to audition for it. So any Black show, you know, Dreamgirls, Hair, Rent, Color Purple, if there are Black people in the script, I'm going in for it. And so everybody was at that audition. And I sang for them, and then I went home. And then I got a call, hey, we want to call you back for Shug. And I was like, what? I was like, no, I don't know. I don't want to do it. So I learned the song. I had to sing Too Beautiful for Words. And I went in and I sang it. And then like a week later, they were like, we want you at Shug. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I don't know. I was like, they're wrong. They're wrong. There's no way that they want me for Shug. And sure enough, yeah. And I had to dig deep because Shug is so confident and sexual and outspoken and just like a lot of things that I do not see when I see me. And so I was like, well, this is acting, isn't it? Don't you need to become someone else? This is what you signed up to do. So I would say that doing Shug every night was definitely becoming another person. It was just, I just had to put on the makeup and the wigs and the outfits. All of that really helped, but I was literally becoming someone else. There was so very little about Shug that I saw in me. But I was like, well, maybe this is the me I don't show anyone. I don't know. I had to dig deep. But it was so great. And the cast was so fun. And it's still to this day just a really great experience for me.
Yeah, I would say like being in The Color Purple is just something that I would love to do. I think I think that's one of like the most iconic shows, especially for like Black women. Like I would love to be in The Color Purple. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Me too. And I know you talked about living in Chicago, but how is it like living in New York, and what was it like relocating?
Relocating for me was a bit of a whirlwind because I was on tour with Dirty Dancing and I hadn't been back to Chicago for about 6 months. And while I was on tour with Dirty Dancing, I booked The Lion King. And my contract with The Lion King started a week before my contract with Dirty Dancing was supposed to end. So I had to ask for 2 weeks cut off from my Dirty Dancing contract. So I spent a week at home trying to pack in Chicago. And then I flew to New York with just 2 suitcases because that's all I could manage. And so it was a lot. I stayed in a sublet in Harlem and with strangers, you know, with two girls I just met, and I'd never done that before. I'd never sublet before. And so I got there the day before, no, 2 days before my first rehearsal. And I was just like, I'm just going to do a dry run of going to the theater on the subway and coming back and making sure that I know exactly where I'm going so I don't mess this up, because tomorrow's the first day of rehearsal. And I would say those first 3 months where I was subletting with those 2 girls, it was just about getting to know the city. It was still summer in the city. I was shocked by how hot the subways got. Like you hear people joke about the subways in the summer, but you really don't know until you like go down there. It is a swamp. It is a swamp. But I think my first couple months was just rehearsing during the day and going to see a Broadway show at night, and rehearsing during the day and going to see a Broadway show, or resting. And then I joined a gym and I hired a trainer, and it was just about staying focused. And then when I finally started doing the show, Jelani, who was Simba at the time that I first started out, he's a partier. Like Jelani goes out every night. And he's like, come on, Adrienne, come on, let's do this, let's do that. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I don't, at first I thought I could like go out and drink and enjoy and then go do the show, but it's just not sustainable for me. Some people can pull it off. It's not sustainable for me. So I think that's what I learned in first moving to New York, is just life balance. And I'm still learning that, because I can go way into the, I don't do anything, I don't talk to anyone, all I do is the show. And that's no quality of life to have either. So I'm still working through, well, what does a balanced life look like? Because my entire life can't be the show, and my entire life can't be the next audition and just business, career. But 3 months after I made my Broadway debut, I got married. And so it was just a lot. It was just a lot at once. So I moved into the sublet, and then I went back to Chicago for 2 days, got married, then flew back to New York and moved into our apartment in Brooklyn, and then went right back into the show. I would say overall, I think New York is what everyone says it is. It is a place of opportunity. Everything is here. You can run down the street and get a wedding dress. You can run down the street and, you know, get some high-end fabric. You can do anything here. Everything is here. I know I'm just mentioning like 2 clothing references. It's all I can think of right now, but you can literally do anything in New York. And so that's what's incredible about it. But it is at the same time a very tough city, in that it's expensive, one, but also people, the city can be so difficult, people kind of turn off a bit. And that's the part I'm still grappling with, because I'm a Southern girl and that's just not how it is. So yeah.
Yeah, we're from the South here too, but I've heard it described, like New York being described as a city that will move on and like leave you if you don't catch up with it. Like New York, as opposed to other cities, you can, you know, figure yourself out, but it's like in New York, you kind of got to get it together and go on, you know?
Yeah, but, totally.
For sure. Oh, somebody in the chat says, did you go to North Atlanta High School? My stepmom thinks she went to school with you.
I did not go to North Atlanta. I went to Lovejoy. Yeah, I went to Lovejoy, and but my friend Travis Turner went to North Atlanta.
Well,
yeah,
that's a cool connection.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because I know you relocated to New York to make your Broadway debut as Nala in The Lion King. What was that like, and how are you feeling now that you're going to be stepping back into that role in September?
Yeah, I know. It's like, I feel like I got all the really cool moments. Like I got to perform during the 20th. Now I'm getting a chance to perform when we go back, and I know it's going to be such a huge moment. But my Broadway debut, it's so funny. I don't remember any of it. I remember getting ready, being really nervous because makeup took a long time. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go downstairs. They're singing Hakuna Matata. I don't have a lot of time. I got to put my costume on. I have a fight call. And I got on stage and I said Scar. And then I don't remember anything. The bows, I remember looking for my family. And it's funny because for you, it's your Broadway debut. And for everyone else, it's just another show. It's just another show. Whereas when I did opening night with Kiss Me Kate, it was opening night for everybody, and we were all, bubbling. But yeah, for The Lion King, it was incredible and magical and terrifying. And I think this go round, since we're all going to be rehearsing together, I think we'll all be alight with anxiety, but also excitement and everything. I'm looking in the chat, and what is your stepmother's name? So I can tell Travis, because Travis is one of my best friends. And I went to Spelman College.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a fun connection there in the chat.
Yeah, I've got tickets to go see Lion King in October. So
you'll have to tell me, because hopefully they'll let us do it. But if they do let us, I'll take you backstage and give you a tour so you can see the magic behind the curtain.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it to watch it because I've never seen it on Broadway. But I know that Lion King is very physically demanding. And so I was just wondering how you what workout advice would you give to people who want to be on Broadway or in that show?
Yeah, The Lion King is specific in its physical demands because it's physically demanding for everyone on stage. And that's one part, the repetition of it all. Anytime you're doing a show 8 times a week for years, the same hurts come up. You start getting some chronic conditions. Even if the show isn't as taxing, you start feeling some chronic conditions simply because you're doing the same motion all the time. You'll hear of secretaries, suffering from carpal tunnel, or people that work in factories that do the same repetitive movement all the time. It's the same thing for us on stage. So for me, what helped me is physical therapy for my knees, because my track, it's funny, every single Nala talks about knee pain, no matter the age. But for me, I had a lot of knee pain just from the running and jumping. Our stage is made of steel. And so there's really no buoyancy and no give. Your joints are taking all of the impact every time you jump and run and take off. And my entire role is sprinting and jumping. I stand and then I sprint and jump and sprint and jump. So I do Pilates with the reformer rather than mat Pilates. Something about the resistance training really helps with my joints. When I'm in the show, I regularly go to acupuncture about twice a week. I get, this is gonna sound like a lot. This is a lot, but I get a foot massage every Friday, and I get a full body massage in between shows on Sundays. And just because of the 5-show weekend, it's a lot on your body. And it adds up because all of those things cost money, but it's the flip side is that I'm in pain, and then I'm not in every show, and I'm really not into that. So that's really how I maintain my body. And with my voice, I drink a gallon of water a day. I don't talk a lot. I go on vocal rest a lot. Actually, all this interview with you two and with other podcasts I've done, I would never have a chance to do this if I was performing, because I'm constantly saving my voice. And I go to a voice lesson about once a month with a really great voice coach. Yeah.
I know I personally always have like, I always want to talk and I always want to sing. And then I have a teacher who told me one time, she was like, you singing in the daytime and singing to pass time is just worse. It's not worsening. It's just taking a toll on your voice, so that when you have to perform, say you have a performance at the end of this week and you've been singing, she's like, you're just making the quality of your voice less and less, when if you save yourself, then you can just give a blowout performance in your show. And I like, when I heard that, I didn't really take any consideration to it. And then I had a day where I was doing a self-tape, and I did like 20 takes of the song because I just wasn't satisfied with it. And I was just hearing the quality of my voice go down and down and down in each take. And I was like, wow, this is actually something, and I should listen.
Yeah, listen to your teacher for sure, because I had never lost my voice before until sophomore year in college. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is like legit something that can happen. And it was because I was just going. And I hadn't learned any discipline about caring for my voice. So it's definitely different for everyone, but there does need to be like some type of care, of vocal care for sure. And for me, it's I also have a speech therapist, and she said you have a certain amount of vocal cash that you can spend every day. And once it's gone, it's gone. You can't re-up, you know, you have this amount of cash to spend every day, so choose it wisely. And that's what I do when I'm performing. But now, I mean, now that we've been off, I'll call my mom for an hour. I'll get on a phone call with my friends, and I'm just talking. But I'm trying to appreciate it now, because I know when August hits, especially with the rehearsals,
right,
I'll be on vocal rest. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Well, I'm so glad that we reached out to you when we did.
Yeah.
But, I know that you took off a little bit in The Lion King to do Kiss Me Kate, and we talk about High School Musical, the musical. High School Musical, and then High School Musical, the musical, the series, a lot on this show. And I know in the Broadway revival, Corbin Bleu was in the cast. And so what was that experience like, just the whole show and the cast and performing at the Tonys, just all of that?
You know what? So I knew that we had some stars in our cast. Like I knew Corbin was going to be there, Kelly, Will, and now we're on a first name basis. But before it was like Kelly O'Hara, Will Chase, Corbin Bleu. So the first day of rehearsal, I was just like, don't be weird, don't be weird, don't be weird, you know? And I met Kelly and she gave me a hug, and I was like, oh, she's nice. She gave me a hug. Don't be weird, don't be weird. And for me, like the first day of rehearsal is a nightmare because I'm scared to talk to anyone. And so I was just trying not to embarrass myself. I remember that. But then you meet and greet, maybe you have some little bites, and then the creatives, they all give their creative pitch. So they'll talk about the set, or they'll talk about their vision for the show is and everything. And so then after all that happens, you get into rehearsals and you start learning blocking and choreography. So you don't really have time to be nervous anymore because you're learning. And I would just say that it was everything I wanted it to be. It was challenging, but it was really fun. And there were a lot of laughs, and we were in a really tight space during the rehearsal process. So we didn't all get to see each other working. And so sometimes we didn't see numbers until we did run throughs and stuff. But working with Corbin, he's great. Corbin is great. He's so kind. But what impresses me and amazes me about Corbin is that he's super kind and polite and like all the things that you want someone to be, but he's also really, really talented and hardworking. So it makes sense why he is where he is. He worked hard for it. He's such a great singer and dancer, and the tapping that he did in that show made no sense whatsoever. And I imagine you guys didn't get a chance to see it, but in Bianca, he picks himself up and turns upside down and taps on the ceiling like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's absolutely ridiculous. Kelly never falters. Her voice is always pristine every single night. And I admire her so much because she's got 2 kids. They came and they would stay and hang out with her just so she could spend time with them. And she's everything you want a person to be that is on that level. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was great. It's great. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I got a chance to go do that and then come back to The Lion King because I needed a break. I needed to break it up and do something different. And that was the perfect show to do it in. I have a question for y'all, though.
For sure.
So what got you into musical theater and why are you such big musical theater fans?
Okay, this is so funny because we normally don't get asked questions by the people that we interview, but the other person who asked us a question was Joey Contreras, and he kind of asked us a similar question to what you asked. But I think I'll go first, and then I'll let Kenna go. But I started out in the church when I was a little kid. I started out in church choir, in church plays, and then I was doing at a certain point I was doing like musicals at school as well. I was doing school musicals and school plays, and then at a certain point it wasn't really just about like playing anymore. It was like really like this was my expression. I know I talked a little bit about how I went to an all-white school for a lot, and I lived in Hazelhurst, Mississippi for a lot of my life. And it was a really not the best environment for a BIPOC person to grow up in, but when I was there, I found that there was a lot of like discreet racism and a lot of in-your-face racism and just a lot of stuff. But when I was like acting and stuff, and when I was in a show, it wasn't me being myself. It was me being somebody else. And this other person that I'm being, like, I'm this character. I'm not myself. You can't really, I guess, discriminate against me, right? Because like none of us are who we really are. Right. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of what really made it be a really big thing for me and made it be something I fell in love with. And then I was also like, at this time, I was also like seeing a lot of people that like I was really like, okay, this is a side story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So this program came to my school and it was called the Young Americans. And it was this performing arts program. And it was like a 3-day event, and it was really fun. And I saw all these Black girls who looked like me singing and dancing and performing. And I was like, wow, like I can do this. And it was just, I don't know, it was just really something for me that was like, the theater community is so accepting and so inclusive and so family-like. And it was like balancing like kind of like a racism and a little bit of prejudice and all of that. And then like not wanting to be myself, but then also falling in love with how I can be myself and perform and it's accepted. And that was my experience with it. And I just fell in love with that after the Young Americans was when I really just dove into theater. I think that was in 4th grade was when I just really fell in love with it. And I started doing community theater and all kinds of stuff. And just, yeah, that's how I fell in love with it.
That's awesome.
And then with me, I also started in the church choir. Then I started playing piano and I accompanied the church. My grandfather, we always would like write songs and stuff. So I've always been involved in music. But then in 5th grade, I was a really big fan of Todrick Hall, and he went on to do Kinky Boots. And so I went to go see that. And once I saw it, I was just like, oh, this is definitely what I want to do. Like, I want to be on the stage, singing, dancing, and acting. So ever since then, I've just been trying to train to, do musical theater for a living. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got involved with musical theater, and I love it. But we've taken up so much of your time. So for our last question, do you have any advice for minorities in the theater industry?
I think the best thing that minorities in the theater industry can do is have ownership of yourself, ownership of who you are, and an awareness of who you are. Because when you bring that to the table, it just enriches everything. So I think what I've noticed in my journey is that I had this idea of what I thought people wanted whenever I went in for a certain role. Oh, they want this. I know they want this, or let me be this or that. And I never booked those jobs. I only booked the jobs where I was truly being myself within the character, within the role that I was trying to go out for. And I think that's what serves everyone, actually, no matter the race, no matter the ethnicity, no matter the group, no matter the marginalized group. I think being yourself is going to serve you more than anything else will. And in a sea of people trying to figure it out and trying to tell you what you should be and what you should be doing, that's the one thing that I think everyone needs to hold true to: yourself.
Well, that was great advice. Thank you so much for coming on our show. We really enjoyed it. Do you have anything that you want to plug? Any social media? I know you have 32 Bar Cut. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah. Well, I mean, thanks to everyone for signing on and listening to me chat. And thanks for having me, Christina and Kenna. This has been really great. I think what you all are doing is really cool. And I applaud you, and I want to cheer you on and encourage you to keep doing it. For those of you watching that are interested in any kind of theater, musical theater, career advice, I do have a channel called 32 Bar Cut. You can follow us on Instagram at 32 Bar Cut, or you can check us out on YouTube at 32 Bar Cut, or you can go to 32barcut.com and it's all there too. But basically every week, my husband and I sit down and we talk about theater woes or theater growth things that you need to know, like career advice from agents to online submissions to things we wish we had known. And we also talk about audition advice a lot, because for me, I think, of course, that's the only way you can book a job is through having a good audition. So if you can ace having great auditions, then you most likely will have a successful career. So anyway, 32 Bar Cut, that's it. And then come see The Lion King if you can.
Yep, I will see you in October.
See you in October.
I'm going to try to go and see, because I really want to see The Lion King anyway. And I really want to see you in The Lion King. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks, H. Wells. I appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. So, Ken and I have a little bit of Broadway tea for you guys. But before that, we just want to say thank you so much for watching our 10th episode. It's the end of season 1, and we'll see you guys with season 2. But just thank you guys for sticking around and for watching this.
Yeah, thank you all so much for staying for 10 episodes. I feel like we've done way more than 10.
Same.
It's just me.
I feel like, I do feel like we've done more than 10. I don't know. Maybe, but this is our 10th episode, so.
Yeah.
It just feels that way.
Thank you all for staying like this long.
Yeah, we have a little bit of tea to talk about. I know we're almost out of time. Well, not really, but kind of. So I think we should talk about the Disney Plus Pride event. What do you think?
I'm so excited because Todrick Hall, I mean, there's other people that are going to be involved, but, Todrick Hall, I love him so much. So obviously I'm super excited. I'm excited that Disney is doing something for Pride Month.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I feel like up until maybe a few years ago, I think Andy Mack was the first show where I think there was a character that was LGBTQ. I think that Disney Plus, I think with their platform, they've been doing a lot to just promote a lot of things and be more inclusive. I'm a very big fan of Alex Newell, or Newell. I'm a very big fan from Glee to Once on This Island to Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I'm a huge fan of his, and he is also there. And Brecky Rodriguez and Joe Serafini are there from High School Musical, the series, which we
I didn't know you were a Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist fan.
Yeah, I do like Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. We should do an episode on that one day.
Yeah.
For
My
fun.
grandma's in the background. She loves that show.
Yes. Okay, can we talk about the one guest that's going to be at the Pride event that I'm a little confused about?
Yeah. So basically, Kermit the Frog is also going to be part of this event, and I'm just confused on why. Like, it's all these names of people who are like, I don't know, and then Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. So I love the Muppets. I'm a very big Muppet fan. I like watching the Muppet Show. I liked all the Muppet movies, especially the one with like Amy Adams. I'm a big Muppets fan, but when I saw that Kermit the Frog was hosting the Incredible, I was very confused because I was like, Kermit is with Miss Piggy, and I don't know if he is maybe, I don't know what his sexual orientation is, but I was a little bit confused, and I don't
But
know.
I still feel like it's like, why Kermit the Frog?
Pushing
Like,
it.
I'm just
It-
like, it's all people. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little.
It threw me off.
It did throw me off. Also, can we talk about how tomorrow is Juneteenth, and Juneteenth is a federal holiday now? Yes.
Yeah.
Amen for Juneteenth. I'm very excited. Do you have any Juneteenth plans, Kenna?
I don't really. I'm just going to be traveling.
Well, if you want something to do, I can send you over. I'm watching my for any of you guys who don't know, I go to Harlem School of the Arts, and they're having like a really cool virtual concert, and them and the Harlem Chamber Players are doing a there's like this dance performance, and it's called like Tulsa 1921 to 2021 Ashes to Dust or something like that. And I think it'll be a really cool thing. If you want the info, I'll send it to you. So I'm gonna be watching that on Juneteenth. And also, I know you told me a little bit about her. Like, what's the tea on that? You know?
Oh, her, the singer, reveals that she's going to be working on a Broadway score in hopes of getting an EGOT one day.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I love her music. I was not expecting that.
Me
What
either.
about you?
I wasn't expecting that either.
I'm kind of glad to hear it though, because one, like representation, let's go, Black Queens for the win. Two, also because I think it's time we hear some new sound on Broadway. And not to say that like there hasn't been any new sound, because like I know there's been a few like different musicals. Like I would definitely say Spring Awakening one, which was our musical Monday this week, has a very unique sound, and there's a lot like Hadestown has a very unique sound, I would say, but I think her will bring a very new feel to Broadway.
Yeah,
What do you think?
excited. I'm excited for that.
I'm really excited.
And then also, speaking of Juneteenth, there'll be some performances Saturday that will celebrate Juneteenth from Broadway. You got Jacqueline B. Arnold, Nick Burrows, and Kimber Elaine Sproul.
Yeah, so that's really cool. I wish you guys a great Juneteenth, and thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed this episode. I'm a big fan of Adrienne's, and I love watching 32 Bar Cut, so I was really glad that we got to have this conversation with her. And yeah, I wish you guys a great summer, a great Juneteenth, and thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.